Mango County 4-H, Janet again. Today's project, we are going to make some rustic art using wood or heavy cardboard and some stones and branches to make some flowers today. For today's project, you will need the help of an older teen or an adult. We are using hot glue guns. So to get started, we want newspaper or some sort of table protection laid down because we are going to paint a piece of wood or cardboard, or if you so choose, you can go with a plain piece of wood or possibly stain it. I chose a nice bright green for my project today. You're going to need paint, a paintbrush, and a clean yogurt cup, unless you want to just pour your paint onto your work surface and spread it out evenly. In addition to that, today we are going to need our hot glue gun and plenty of hot glue sticks. We will need 1 or 2 twigs depending on how many flowers you'd like to make, along with some clean, washed, flat, smallish rocks to use as petals, a different color rock to use as the center. If you don't see anything that you quite like, please feel free to get some more paint and paint your rocks before putting them on your board. In addition to that, we're going to use some littler pebbles, which you guys can find out in the driveway. At the office here, I had some already bagged up. So I'm going to use these at the bottom of my board. Just want to give a shout out to the Ambitious Lions 4-H Club here in Chenango County 4-H for this project idea. Several of their members made these boards and entered them at County Fair last year, and I thought they were really cool. So to get started, your twigs, make sure they're the right size for your work surface, whether it be your cardboard or your piece of wood, and you're just going to kind of play with them. Figure out, are they the right size? Do I want them where on the board? Mine are actually a little long. Mine are dry, so I'm going to snap them. Kind of take a look. This one doesn't want to sit quite flat that way, but if I turn it the opposite way, it does sit a little bit flatter. This one here, still a little bit long. Give it a nice snap. Maybe pull it down a little bit. So what I'm going to do now is to hot glue both my branches onto my board to make stems for my flowers. So I'm just going to take the hot glue gun, and please make sure you have help with this if you're little and you need help running it. Just run on the back side of your stick or your twig a line of hot glue. And I'm just going to place that down, hold it a little bit to make sure that the branch, which is a little bit bent and doesn't want to lay flat, make sure that the glue dries and holds it down in place. We're eventually going to hang these or stand these up, so we don't want anything to fall off, so please make sure you use enough glue. If you don't have hot glue, not a problem. You can use white glue, Elmer's glue, craft glue, anything you have. It'll just take longer to dry, and you guys know my patience level with watching glue dry and paint dry and water boil. So we're just going to run another line of hot glue. Make sure I put some glue sticks in there. Right down. And again, hold my stick down so that it is glued securely to my board. If you do paint or stain your board, please wait a good 6 to 8, maybe even overnight, hours to ensure that the paint is dry, the stain is dry, so that when you're working, you don't get paint all over your sleeves and everything else. All right, so when I get to this point, I have my twigs on, which are going to be my stems for my flowers. And now my decision is, do I start with my flowers up top, or should I put on my decoration at the bottom? I think I'm going to start with my flowers on the top. And what I've done is I've chosen 2 darker color stones to be the center of my flowers. So I'm just going to set these out a little bit, take a look at them, see how they look. Make sure I did this right and I have enough room for my petals. Depending on the size of my petals, my other stones, I may have to move things around a little bit to make them fit. I'm not going to paint my rocks today. I kind of like the natural look of them. So I'm just going to place them around my stem. And then I'm going to start with the second one. I chose for one flower some stones that were a little bit more yellowish orange. My second flower will have petals that are a little bit, they're clear to white. Just remembering to try to get everything to fit. When you're happy with it, please feel free to start hot gluing your stones on. Don't be afraid to use a lot of hot glue. Remember, we don't want things falling off in the middle of the night when it's hanging on the wall. If you've got a hot glue gun and you get all these little glue stringy things, don't worry, we'll pull those off at the end when everything is cooled. I like to start with the centers of my flowers to glue those down and then to reposition the petals around them. It's just easier to work from the center out. Especially for me, I have bigger fingers than some of you little kids. All right, so when you have your stones hot glued on, you can have a 4, 5, 6 petal flower. It just needed more hot glue. Just depends on how many stones you have. All right, we'll wait for that to dry before I pick it up again. In the meantime, I'm actually going to move on down towards the bottom. I want to put some stones around the base of my flowers to make that look a little bit more like they're planted. If you don't have little stones, if you have some gemstones, some marbles, pretty much anything will work. So my stem decided did not want to stick on this project, so we're just going to add a little bit more glue to it, stick another glue stick into the glue gun. Now, if you know what you want to do for a shape, it's real easy. I think I'm just going to do a bit of a horseshoe shape here. Kind of add some of my stones on the edge first to make sure I have the shape that I want. Remember, hot glue dries fairly quickly, so not too much glue at a time. And just start adding your stones. This is the fun part where you guys get to be really creative. Use a bunch of different colors, different patterns. Paint these too if you'd like to. That would be awesome as well. So I'm getting these on, except that my glue is dry over here. All right, one section at a time because of the hot glue drying so quickly. So we have our shape for my my base, my ground of my plants, my rock flowers, and all I'm going to do is fill that in. So once we have all of our little stones on the bottom glued on, we just kind of give it a quick check, make sure everything's glued on really nice. And at this point, if it's cool and dry, you guys can pull the little gluey things, little strings off if you've been using hot glue to make it look a lot neater. When you're done with it, if you're very careful, you can put a hanger on the back or do that first, or just use it if it's a flat piece of wood or cardboard just to stand up. So again, I'd like to thank the Ambitious Lions 4-H Club for this really cool idea. Hope you're all well, and we'll talk soon.